My E.T. Close Encounters of the First and Third Kind. What I am about to share are two recent encounters I had with extraterrestrials of the first and third kind. The first encounter was of the first kind, a UFO sighting over my home. The second encounter was of the third kind, an extraterrestrial visit in my bedroom about a month later. I am sharing these events simply because I am deeply compelled to. It is my strong feeling that it's time to further mentally prepare humanity for open contact with beings not from Earth in the very near future. These two peaceful encounters will hopefully help ease some of the trepidant feelings some people may have towards extraterrestrials. And as events unfold in the future, I will continue to share all my experiences publicly. It is time we fully accept their very real presence and open our minds to the grandeur that lies just outside of what we think is reality. Close Encounter of the First Kind, a UFO Sighting. On Wednesday, November 17th, 2021, I arrived home from work at 6 p.m. Upon entering the front door, I asked my husband if the dog needed to go out for a bathroom break. I figured that since I was already dressed for the cold, it would be convenient for me to take her. We live out in the country on a 40-acre hobby farm with a wide view of the sky. As Freya and I headed down our quarter-mile driveway, I looked up at the large, bright moon, which would be full in 2 more days. I was struck by something odd about it. The sky was dotted with large clouds, and the moonlight shone through them, which was not unusual at all. However, what got my attention was that I saw what appeared to be 3 moons in the formation of a large triangle. I marveled at this as I walked the dog down our long driveway, not feeling any fear at all, but rather trying to figure out how the moonlight was reflecting behind the clouds in such a way so as to appear to be 3 equally bright lights. My dog and I returned to the house at 6:15 p.m., just 15 minutes later. I had kept my eyes on the lights the entire time, and they had moved only slightly, tilting a bit, which caused them to appear to be slowly moving away. I still believed the phenomena I was seeing was some kind of optical illusion caused by the moonlight behind the clouds. I was so nonchalant that I didn't even bother to take a picture with my phone. I'll never again make that mistake. However, it did occur to me that these 3 lights reminded me of a large spacecraft. So, as sort of a humorous gesture, purely for my own amusement, I mentally sent a message to any extraterrestrials on board the spacecraft that I meant them no harm. I also told them that I would do my best to not be afraid of them should they ever come down to meet me in person. Then, in what seemed to be my own imagination, I received a mental response back from them, that they would do their best not to frighten me, or be afraid of me either. I felt a loving sense of peace from this imagined exchange, but thought nothing of it. I went on with my night, not even bothering to mention any of this to my family. I truly didn't believe I saw a spacecraft hovering over my house. Later that night, at about 8 p.m., I was rinsing the dinner dishes in the sink and looked out the kitchen window. There, just coming up over the trees, was the real moon. This shocked me to my core because that meant it wasn't even visible in the sky 2 hours prior when I was out with the dog. What were the 3 lights I had seen earlier then? I ran outside to check if the lights were still there, and of course they were gone. I also noted that the moon was not yet even close to where I had seen the lights. I realized what I'd seen had to be some sort of craft flying in the sky. Some people have suggested it might have been a military drone or plane, but I don't think so. First, it made no sound. Second, The span between the three lights was immense. If an average airplane is about 50 meters long, then this craft had to have been at least a mile or two across. It was absolutely gigantic. This was the main reason I believed it was moonlight reflecting off the clouds in the first place. I couldn't believe anything else in the sky could be that big. Perhaps the government is manufacturing aircraft this size in secret, but I personally feel this was something not made by humans. A close encounter of the third kind, an extraterrestrial visit. About a month later, on Tuesday, December 28th, 2021, I went to bed like any other night. I had no idea that I was about to have an encounter with beings from another dimension right there in my bedroom. I dreamt I woke and looked at my clock, which read 3:30 a.m. I say dreamt because what follows felt like a real experience in our normal reality, but through the lens of a dreamlike mental state. I looked over at the wall adjacent to my side of the bed. It seemed to shimmer in a way that made me think it had become transparent, like a hologram you could walk through, but still looking exactly like a solid log wall. We live in a log home. The holographic opening appeared to be about the size of an average human. Next, 6 extraterrestrial beings walked single file through this portal in my bedroom wall and surrounded my bed. They had large, dark eyes, no hair, and wore no clothing. Their bodies were about the size of an average human, and their skin color was a mix of grayish, bluish green. Physically, they appeared genderless and identical, but I could sense individual personalities among them, and that some were male and others female. My husband was still sleeping soundly in the bed beside me, while I was on my back, half propped up on my pillows, watching the strange procession. As this event took place, I felt no fear. I don't think I had time to, for these beings got right to work, sending me some form of energetic healing that caused me to move into a state of blissful, loving peace and gratitude. In fact, I felt sublimely euphoric throughout the whole encounter. 2 extraterrestrials stood at the foot of my bed, standing like statues, and I could feel them sending me loving energy directly from their minds. There were 2 more stationed directly next to me on my side of the bed, and 2 others on my husband's side, for a total of 6. The ones standing on the sides appeared to be facilitating the energy flow with intricate hand motions over our bodies. I felt grateful for this energy, for I could feel it was healing something in my energetic field. I knew they were helping us in some manner. This went on for some time, and once complete, I made a mental exclamation that I couldn't believe I wasn't afraid of them. I felt just the opposite, in fact. I wanted them to stay. They felt like loving family to me. I could feel their love, not only for me as an individual, but for the whole of humanity. They joined me in this thought, equally amazed and happy I was not afraid of them. They then said, "Yes, we allowed you to witness this process for a reason. You passed the test. We are very pleased you do not fear us." They then filed out of my bedroom, back through the portal in my wall, just as they had arrived. The next thing I knew, I was aware of a spaceship directly over our house. I couldn't see it, but I knew it was there. I was then told telepathically that evil aliens had placed a bubble of harmful gas around our house, and that this gas was going to interact with the carbon dioxide from our breath and our fireplace, causing an explosion that would annihilate my home and family. Alarmed, I mentally cried out for help, wondering what to do or how to escape. In response to these thoughts, I heard the good aliens in my mind, instructing me to open all the windows in the house to let in fresh air which would foil the plans of the evil aliens. I hesitated at first because it was currently the dead of winter and extremely cold outside, but I decided to trust the message I'd received and went around my home opening all the windows. Immediately upon completion of following this instruction, the evil aliens revealed that they were in fact not evil at all, but rather the good aliens in disguise, testing me. This time, they were testing to see if I would trust them enough to follow their instructions, even if such instructions ran contrary to the logic of the world, such as opening all the windows of my home during an extremely cold winter night. They next informed me that I had passed both tests, the test of fear and the test of trust. I did not fear their bodily forms, and I trusted that they were there only to help me and would not lead me to harm. They then told me that those who did not fear and who trusted would make the transition easily. Others who did not would not make the transition at all or would have a more difficult time with it. I asked them what transition they were talking about, to which they answered, "The interdimensional shift of your race and planet to a higher vibrational existence." I then woke my husband within this dreamlike experience and told him all that had just happened. His response was to go check the portal in the wall to see if it was still there. So we got out of bed to do this, agreeing that it was unsafe to have a holographic opening in our wall someone could fall out of. Our bedroom was on the second story, so a fall could be fatal. My husband ran his hand over the portal opening, and it passed right through. It was still there. I then called our 2 teenage children to our room to explain what had happened and warned them to be careful of the opening in the wall. It looked solid, but they could easily fall right out. At this point, I wondered, what exactly was on the other side of the wall? I decided to take a chance and poked my entire head through, expecting to see nothing more than the cold winter night and our backyard. That was not what I found. Once I put my head through, instead of a cold shock of winter night air as I expected, my face was met by warmth and a panoramic view of vast, deep space filled with stars. My heart instantly filled with joy and excitement. I pulled back out and told my husband and kids that they absolutely had to put their heads through and take a look at what I saw. It was simply amazing. So, my husband decided to check it out first to make sure it was safe for the kids to take a look, and cautiously ran his hand over the log wall before putting his head through. It was solid once again. The portal had closed. I decided to go look out our bedroom window to see if I could catch a glimpse of their spacecraft or anything else. The extraterrestrials then informed me telepathically that I would not be able to see their spacecraft, as it had never entered our reality. But they did leave something behind for me to see. As I gazed out into our backyard, I could see hundreds of small crop circles dotting the landscape, each about the size of a circle you could make with your arms. And as I looked closer at them in the moonlight, I noticed each circle was vaguely heart-shaped, filled with a multitude of spiral patterns inside. These impressions were in the inch or so of snow we had recently received in real life. In fact, everything in this dreamlike experience was true to life. There were no distortions or irregularities that normally occur during regular dreams, and everything progressed in a clear, logical order. In all honesty, this dreamlike reality and my normal waking reality were nearly impossible to tell apart. As I gazed out at the heart-shaped crop circles, I understood they were a symbol of love and trust from the extraterrestrials, a parting gift expressing their good intentions and desire to assist me and the rest of humanity through our upcoming transition into a new reality. I then re-entered our current physical reality, the one I was used to and called normal. The clock read 5 a.m., and that was the end of my experience. The only phenomena I was left with was that I could feel, and still can, a degree of the loving euphoria I experienced during the extraterrestrial's visit simply by recalling any part of the dreamlike experience. Later that morning, I checked our backyard for the crop circles, but found none. And when I asked my family if they remembered anything unusual from the night before, none of them recalled anything out of the ordinary about their night's sleep. In conclusion, I feel this was not the first time these visitors have come to my room in the night, and I believe they have been visiting many of us for a long time. I also feel this experience has been given to me to share with others to help them prepare for what's to come. May the world be ready for the upcoming spiritual transition or interdimensional shift to a new reality, or what some call the fifth dimension. May all of humanity be fearless and trusting of those who are here from other worlds to lovingly help us move into the new earth, a reality where we will all coexist side by side in a happy, peaceful, amazing world. Written, narrated, and produced by Beth Gear. For more from me, go to www.bethgear.com. There you will also find the transcript to this video under the Miracle-Minded Messages tab. And please, don't forget to like and subscribe. You will be blessed by the blessing you extend. Thank you, and peace be with you.